VN Video Editor is a powerful free video editing app for Android, for iPhone, and for Mac. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use VN step by step so that you can take your content to the next level. Now I'm going to be taking you through on an iPad because, hey, it's got a bigger screen, meaning that you can see more in this video. But the process is exactly the same for other devices too, and almost exactly the same if you're using a Mac. Now to help you with your video editing too, we have created a free PDF resource which is linked in the description to help you follow along with this process that I'm going to take you through in this video. So you can use this as a checklist when you're editing your videos. And the great news is this is going to help you speed up your video editing, following along with this, no matter which editing tool or app you're using. Link in the description. Let's go. All right, now this is what you'll see when you first open up the app. So there's really two ways we can get started here. We can come down the bottom here to select and create a new project, which is what I will do, but I also want to show you another way because up here under search, this is where we can search for things like templates that we can use as a good starting guide for creating our videos. So if you're not sure where to start, a template could be a good place. So there's different examples here that you could use for creative inspiration and to customize up and make them your own. You can even do things in here like create your YouTube thumbnail images as well. I'm not going to go into that in this video. We're going to keep the focus around video editing, but know that you can use this for some of these other things as well. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to go to home. We're going to create a new project from scratch. So then we just want to hit a new project here. Then it's going to ask you, do you want to create a video-based project or a music-based project? And really it doesn't matter too much here in my experience because you're going to have access to the same tools regardless. But if you are creating something where you want to just drop in a music file, maybe drop in a couple of different clips on top of that, like one of those template-based projects, then you might want to choose music-based. But pretty much for every video I've ever created, I'm just going to go video based because yeah, we get access to the same stuff too. So I'm going to hit save. It's going to prompt us to select our footage. Now what I suggest you do here is you don't need to go and pick all your clips. Let's pick your primary camera footage first. So the stuff that's going to make up the bulk of your video, let's pick that clip or those clips now. And then for any other clips, we're going to add those in a little later in the process. And this is because our project is actually going to be set up based on the first clips that we import. So we want to make sure that they are the ones that make up the bulk of our edit. So I've got our primary camera footage here. I'm then going to come down and hit next. And then we're taken to our main editing interface. So this is our primary playback window. This is where we can see our edit as we build it out. Down the bottom here, we've got our editing timeline. You can see we've got these separate tracks for music, for subtitles, for stickers. We've got our video track here and we've got our audio track down below that too. Down the bottom across here, we've got all of our menu options. This is scrollable. So depending on what it is you're working on, you're gonna have access to different menu options down the bottom here. So you'll see if I select this clip here, just by tapping on it, then we've got some different options that show up down the bottom here. Now at any point, we can maximize this. So if you wanna play it back full screen, we have a full screen button here. We can also change up the layout. So right now we've got our playback window at the top and we've got our timeline and stuff on the bottom here. If we come up to this little option here, there are a few different layouts that we can choose from. Again, depending on what device you're editing on and the screen size, you can customize this up for you. This is the default and this is also the most common. So this timeline area down the bottom here, we can swipe across this just by dragging our finger across if we're on mobile, or clicking and dragging on desktop, or scrolling with the scroll wheel on a mouse. We can pinch to zoom in this area down here as well to zoom in and out. So this whole interface and everything is really intuitive. But what I'd like to do first off, let's zoom in, let's go right to the end of our project. And we want to make sure that we are removing this title card here. This isn't a watermark. We don't have to have this on here, but it is added at the start of every video. So we want to make sure that that is selected here in our timeline. We want to click on that and we want to press delete and that's gone. Now we don't need to worry about that accidentally making it through to our finished video. From there, what we can specify is our project settings here. So right now this auto detected the format of our clip. This is why we wanted to import our primary camera footage first so that everything should be set up correctly for us. So let's say instead we wanted to create a portrait video. We can see we can choose that here. Now we can customize up what happens to the background and whether it's stretched up, scaled up, or blurred as it is now. I'll get to that a little bit later. But straight out, we want to make sure that we're creating the video in the right format primarily. So in our case, we could either leave it as widescreen or original because it's both widescreen, and we hit the tick to apply that. So the first thing we want to do is remove any bad takes, any mistakes from our video, anything we don't want to actually have in it. So we can see here, we also get the audio version or the audio representation of what we're saying here as a visual image. So these are our audio waveforms here. I can see this down the bottom. So we can see the parts where I'm talking and we can see the parts where I'm not. So at the start here, it's like I've just said testing, making sure everything's all good. So we actually don't want our video to start until around here. So as with anything, video editing, there's a couple of different ways that we could do this. We could select this clip here at this point. We could come down to the scissors here to split our clip in two. So you can see we've got two files here now. We can select this first one, we can hit delete and it's gone. Our video now starts from that point. Another way that we could do this is again, select the clip and we can grab this yellow handle on the start. So this is our start point. So we can adjust that start point by dragging it off, and wherever we let it go, our clip is now going to start at that point. It works exactly the same at the other end. Let's come across to the end of our project here. Let's find the piece where I stop talking around here. And let's make our clip finish at that point. Done. Very, very straightforward. We could come to find that here. Let's say we want to remove this section here. We can add a split in our timeline at this point. Now again, we've got two clips, and then we could either add another split and delete that section, or we can just grab this handle for this clip and let's shorten the end of that clip. And you can see that it brings all the other clips along with it. So everything is kept in sync. So you want to go through now, remove any bad takes, any mistakes, anything that you don't want to have in your finished video. Let's go ahead and remove those now. Now that that's done, it's also worth noting that any of these clips or chunks of footage, you can actually pick them up and reorder them. So if we tap and hold on the screen or on the clip, then we can pick things up and move them to where we want them to really help us build out this story. The next step from here is to bring in any B-roll or overlay footage. So if we come down here to where it says here, tap to add sticker or PIP. PIP, picture in picture. So we're going to select that and we're going to choose photos, which is also videos as well. So let's select this one. And you can see that that's now brought this clip here into our timeline and it's sitting on the layer above. Now, just like any other clip here, we can tap on it, we can pick it up, we can move it around. So let's move it towards the start a little bit more. We can also go through and add cuts and edits to this as well. So at the start of this clip, there's not really a lot happening. So there's all of this time here where nothing happens before I start to scroll on YouTube. So let's trim off the start of that. Let's find, starts about here. Yep. So let's grab the start of that clip. Let's drag it back to there. So it now starts at that point. Let's scrub through this. We could hit play as well, but we can also just swipe through this. Let's say that this was enough footage for us at this point. We could click split and it's going to split our clip, and then we can pick that section up and move it to where we want it. So maybe we want it showing around here. Then at this point in our video, so we have me talking at the start. At this point here, when we hit this clip, we're now going to see what we've just brought in, but you're still hearing me in the background. If we actually come up to this top area here with that clip selected, you can see that we can pick this up and we can move it around. So I am still behind, you will still hear the sound from this, but now we're able to show something else over the top of it. And we could even scale this down if you wanted. So if you wanted a smaller clip here down in the bottom corner, we could easily do that. I'm gonna go ahead and undo that now. Let's come back to our other clips here. Maybe there's something else we wanna use in this. Here, maybe this searching piece, video editing Mac. Right, okay, so let's grab this clip. So let's start it from about here, select it, let's hit split. So we have a cut at that point, and let's scroll through here. Let's wait till that search is done, and let's stop our clip at that point. So we've now just cut out this section here that we want. We don't want any of this other stuff on either side. So let's select those clips and remove them. Select this one, hit delete, and we'll then pick up this clip and move it to where we want it. Now, while I'm using screen recording footage here, the same applies to any clip. So let's say we want to bring in another clip now. Let's hit this little plus down here, or actually you can click on any of a blank area in this track to bring in another clip. We can then choose photos, and we could then go and find another clip, video or photo, and we've now got that in our timeline here too. So go ahead now, add in any B-roll or overlay clips into your project. Then from there, we're gonna add in any text or titles into your video. So I've come back to the start of our project here now, and now I wanna tap on this title layer. So it says tap to add subtitle. So this is where we can create titles. regular text, or we can also create an SRT file, a subtitle file in here too. I'm going to choose text, like regular text. You can see we've got a choice of a heading, a subheading, or just body text. So think of these like a text box that we could add in. But there's also some other presets and things that we can use, animations that we can just simply add into our project and customize them up. You can see as you scroll down, there's actually quite a few for you to choose from in these categories, and then we can go view all on a category to see many more options as well. I'm going to come back up to the top. I'm just going to choose to add a heading. All right, so now we're going to click in this box here so we can type. Let's make it all capitals. And then down the bottom here, we can customize this up. So the first one here is us typing, making changes to the text. The next one across here is our fonts. So there's a bunch of fonts in here as well. You do have the ability to upload your own fonts as well. I'm just going to pick Poppins. Then we can customize this up on the next page. So this is our font size. Maybe we'll make it smaller. We can then go to the next one for color. And it's not just the color of the text. We can also add color for a border, a shadow, a background as well. So maybe we'll make this, it's got kind of a primal video blue, and we go, the text can be white. Maybe we will adjust the padding on the background. So you can see how easy it is to customize this up, or there's also some presets across the top here as well. Then next one across, we can customize up the position and everything, but you can also just select on it, pick it up and move it around wherever you'd like. You can also pinch to zoom on it to make it bigger or smaller as well. And the same works for rotation as well. And then over on the end here, this is where we can access some of those templates and things as well. So once we've got our text in, we just want to hit the tick here to apply that. Again, you can see this is our text box here in our timeline that we can pick up. We can adjust the start time, the end time as we need to, and we can easily add animation to this as well. So either we're picking a text template that had animation already built onto it, or if we want to add some animation to our clip here, we can select it and we can choose motion, and then we get to choose an in animation, an out animation, and or a loop animation. So in is obviously going to happen at the start of this appearing on screen. So we could fade it on, we could scale it on, spin. There's a bunch of different options in here. Maybe we'll leave it on that one. We can adjust the duration. So if we want it to go slower, we can stretch that time out. So again, this is what's happening when it's coming onto the screen. This is our in animation. We can then specify what happens when it leaves the screen. So maybe in this case, we'll have it spin out or slide out, probably looks more professional. And then if we want it moving while it's just on screen after it's on, but before it's out, then we can specify a loop animation. So some sort of movement if we want as well. I very rarely use this one. I'm gonna hit none on the loop, and let's hit the tick to apply that. And we've now got, if we hit play, an in animation, it'll stay on there and it'll animate out at the end of that clip. Now it's also worth noting that there is an auto captions generator built into VN Video Editor, where it will automatically transcribe your video and it will add subtitles or captions to your video for you. But you will need to be on the paid version or VN Pro for this to access this feature. Once you've added in your titles, this is where we can go through and add in any transitions or effects into our videos. So let's come down to our main timeline here where we've got two clips, and we can see between any of our clips, we've got this plus button here. If we press on that plus button, this is where we can add a transition between those two clips. So we could have a fade to black, a fade to white. There's lots of different things that we could add in here, camera shakes, different effects and things. So to apply this, we just pick the one that we want, specify the duration here, and then hit the box here, and that's now been applied. So if we play this now, we now have an effect between these two clips. Now, because these two clips are so similar, I usually wouldn't add one in this case. Like for any of our YouTube videos, we wouldn't be doing this. So let's remove that. And instead what I would do, so there wasn't such a hard cut between these, if I play this now, you can see there's just a little jump. So for YouTube, perfectly fine. And you'll see that we normally just leave it. But if we do want to break it up a bit and not have so many little jump cuts, then we could zoom in on one of these clips so that it looks like it was essentially a different camera angle. So I'm going to select on a clip here. I'm going to come up the top and we're just going to pinch to zoom to scale this in. And then I'm going to reposition it so that it kind of lines up very similar to position to where the other one was. So if we come back here now, let's see how we did. Okay, it's close. Let's move it a little bit closer. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Let's play this now. So instead of it just being a little, almost like a glitch, it's now something that looks and feels a little bit different. It's more of a pattern interrupt. So it's easier to break up your video this way and still have it engaging for your viewers instead of just a bunch of hard cuts. So you can easily go through your footage now and add in any zooms or any transitions between your clips. And then in terms of other effects, while we're talking effects, this is where if you needed to speed up a clip or slow down a clip, we can select it and we've got speed control down the bottom here. And then in here, we can either jump across to regular speed control. You just want to set a new speed, no transitions, just a constant speed. We can adjust this slider. So 1 times is regular speed. If we want to slow it down, we go below 1. If we want to speed it up, we go above 1, right? So now we're on 5 times speed. And I like here that it gives you how long the new clip is going to be. If it was 5.4 seconds before, the new one after we apply this is going to be 1.08 seconds. Likewise, the other way, if we slow this back down, you can see that we're extending that clip out because we're slowing it down. You also get more advanced control under curve where you could start it fast and then slow it down or back the other way. So there's some presets here for you to use, or you can jump into custom and you can specify how fast or slow your clip is going to be at different times as it's been played back. We can also do stuff like mirror the clip, rotate the clip, flip it, all from down the bottom here as well. There's a dedicated effects area. So if we click on this with a clip selected, then there's a bunch of different effects that we can apply to those clips too. So there's lots of different little, almost like the transitions or glitch effects and things in here. And if you notice, while there's so many in here to choose from, there is a few that are marked as pro only with this little crown down here. But I love that most of them, the vast majority, are actually free to use. And then when you're applying this, you can either apply it to an individual clip, the one that you selected, or you've got the ability to apply it to all clips if you want to as well. Once you're done adding effects, this is where we can go ahead and add in any music or sound effects into our edit. So again, we've got a dedicated track for that. It's up the top here. Usually it's on the bottom for video editing apps, but if we select up here, we can add music and it's giving us the choice, music, sound effects, or we can go ahead and record our own voiceover in here as well. I'm going to choose music. Now in here, VN Video Editor does have some music tracks that you can use. You shouldn't have any issues with licensing, but to be totally clear and compliant with licensing, this is where I'd much rather own the license myself. And this is where we use Artlist or Epidemic Sound for all of our videos. So while there is stuff in here, you can easily import your own as well. I'm going to come over here to My Music. The trick here to get your own music in here, if it's not already in here, is that you will need to create an empty album first. So if we just create this empty album, let's call it test. Once we create that, we can now import our music. It's kind of a little trick there. And we can import it from a music, from another video, from the Files app, AirDrop. There's lots of different options to get your music tracks into VN. I've already got a music track in here. We can again select the whole track, or we can trim it down in here too if we only want a short portion of it. And it's cool that it gives you some options here straight out. We can adjust the volume levels. We can add a fade in or a fade out at the start. So the track doesn't just start, it's kind of brought in progressively or fades out at the end. So I like that you get to customize this stuff up at the time of import, but it's also something that we can do in the next phases as well. So I'm just going to hit the tick to import that in. And again, as with every other clip, we can pick it up, we can move it around, we can adjust the start times, the end time. And speaking of end time, if we come across to the end, it's automatically trimmed this down here for us so that it finishes when our video finishes. And so if we do want to access the fade, you can see with that clip selected, we have fade down here and we can add our fade in or fade out if we'd like to at the end. So now that we have our music or sound effects in, now we want to dial in our volume levels so everything sounds right. So the volume levels that we want to get right as the priority is, in our case here, the spoken piece, me speaking. And then we can adjust the music and everything to match in with that. So let's go ahead and select the first clip in our video here. This is ideally something you're doing with headphones on, so you're getting a true representation of what this sounds like. But also remember that this is a creative thing. But we want to make sure that our sound isn't too loud so that it's distorting and sounding really bad, but also we don't want it too quiet where our viewers are going to have to crank up the volume to be able to hear what's happening. So we're going to select our first clip here. We're going to come down to volume. And then in here, I absolutely love that we can adjust not only the spoken piece, we can also do the BGM, the background music volume in here as well. So for music levels, I normally like to have this down as a starting point of around -30, so 30 in this case here. And then we can go up or down depending on the music track or the vibe or the feeling that you're creating in your videos. But the most important piece is the spoken piece. So if we need to make any adjustments to make that louder or quieter, then we can easily do that in here too. And then all we need to do is hit apply to all, and that's going to go ahead and process the rest of the clips for us. After that's done, the next step is to color grade or adjust the colors, the look and feel of our clips throughout our entire project. So again, we're going to start on the first clip here. We then come down the bottom here to filter. So you can think of these like Instagram filters that we can add to our video to adjust the look and feel of it. So if you're seeing something you like the look of, then by all means, you can run with that. Or we can customize it up from there. And you can see there's lots in here to choose from. Let's say this one, and we could then hit adjust, and we can make further adjustments to everything based on that filter already been applied as well. Or we can go back to filter. Let's come all the way to the start and choose original. This is my preferred method. And let's just go in and manually make some adjustments from here. So the first adjustment I would make is the exposure here, or the brightness, like how bright or dark our shot is. So let's brighten this up a little bit. From here, I jump over to color temperature. You can see there's lots of other options as well, but this is the process I would follow. And let's make sure that we're correcting any issues from the time of filming. So we can see we can make our shot warmer or cooler. We could then adjust the contrast, either make it more contrasty or less. And then I'd also play with either the vibrance or the saturation here. So the amount of color or the intensity of the color. So maybe we'll boost this up a little bit here. And then if you want to preview what it was like before, then you can just tap and hold in this top preview window. So this was before, this is after. So we can see the changes that we've made. Then all we need to do is hit apply to all, and is now gone through and applied that same look to all of our primary clips. Now, obviously we can customize up and make changes to our B-roll clips as well. Process is exactly the same. Click the clip, down to filter, and make your adjustments. Once that's done, it's time for us to save out our video. So we can come up here to export, and in a lot of cases, the auto settings here are probably gonna be enough for most people. You can see it's created a project based on the camera settings of that first file we imported. So that's exactly what most people will want. So we could just hit export and we're good to go. But for those of you that do want to dial things in, I love this about VN, is that we do actually have some control in here. So we have the ability to export our video up to 4K quality. We could also adjust the frame rate if we needed to. But in terms of the file size and the overall quality of our clip, we can adjust this one down here, the average video bitrate. So you can see right now this is set to 9. If we increase this, you'll also see that the file size gets bigger as the quality increases too. So if you did need to have something that was lower quality, smaller file size, then you could adjust this bitrate to suit. But again, I'd probably leave this exactly where we had it for most people. Then we just hit export and our file will save out. But there's one more thing that I mentioned towards the start that I would show you. Let's say that we wanted to reformat this video for now a portrait version. We come back up the top here to our format. Let's pick our portrait video here. Let's hit the tick to apply that. If we come down here and select background, then we can adjust what is happening with the level of blur, or we can specify a background color. And there's a bunch of different presets and gradients and things in here we can choose, and then hit apply to all if we're happy with that. But we could also adjust the clips themselves so that they fit it. So if we select our clip here in the timeline, we can zoom that in. We can pinch to zoom to scale it up, and then we can even reformat it and move it across to where it fits where we'd like. You could either apply that to all of your clips, or you could have some one way and some another way. So I really like how easy it is to do this stuff in VN, not just make your videos for one format, but also to easily let you repurpose them for other formats too. Now that you're up to speed with VN Video Editor, there's a couple of links on screen. The first one is to grab our free PDF download, that checklist that you can print out and follow along with when you're editing your videos in VN or any video editing tool or app. We've also got links in the description to help you even further, including a more advanced, deeper dive into VN Video Editor as well. I will see you in the next video. Cheers.